Encanto has taken the pop culture world by storm. Its soundtrack by Lin-Manuel Miranda has reached the Billboard charts. Literally every single song on the soundtrack has been on the top 100 chart. People have found the characters that they relate to and want to be. Cosplayers have already been making costumes and taking photos and will no doubt be a part of conventions going forward. It's a phenomenon from Disney that we really haven't seen since Frozen in 2013. But why are people connecting so deeply with the story and songs of Encanto? My name's Josh Taylor, this is Modern Mouse, and today I want to talk about Encanto's popularity, how the film differs from Frozen and other Disney films of the past, and how it's impacting one of society's unspoken issues. Encanto is the story of Mirabel and the Madrigal family, who all live in a multi-generational home and use their unique powers to serve and protect their village. Not like police, but like community leaders. Mirabel, being the only family member without a special gift, feels disowned and lesser than. And her journey takes her on a quest to find her uncle who, just like her, was made to feel lesser than and disowned. She does this in order to save her home and family.
Yeah, my gift wasn't helping the family, but I love my family, you know?
Thanks to Disney Plus being an easily accessible streaming service, Encanto went from having mild success in movie theaters to being streamed worldwide and getting tons of attention, especially its soundtrack on a platform like TikTok. The short-form video sharing app has become one of the most downloaded social media apps in the entire world. Also, you can go follow me at ModernMouseJosh on TikTok if you'd like. And TikTok has gained significant power with the music industry, being able to launch people's careers. One of 2020's most successful artists, Olivia Rodrigo, gained notoriety on TikTok with her song Driver's License before it was ever a radio hit. The same can be said for artists like Megan Thee Stallion, Doja Cat, The Kid Laroi, and Swaco. At this point, having a trending song on TikTok means that you've made it in the music industry. And that's where the song We Don't Talk About Bruno fits in. It became a major song to use on the app for a variety of reasons. People recreated the dancing, or they lip-synced to it. People started recording their own versions. They used it to talk over for a film review, or they used it in the background as a way to talk about their own family. Because of this, it translated to becoming the #1 song on the Billboard charts, outperforming Frozen's Let It Go, Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King, and now sharing the #1 spot with Aladdin's A Whole New World, the only other song from Disney to reach the #1 spot. The songs from the Disney Renaissance have their own place in history, and understandably so, because Disney was just at a different level in pop culture during the 1990s. But many people are making the comparison between Frozen and Encanto, and I think it's something that we should talk about. When Frozen debuted in 2013, it was an immediate hit, and the song Let It Go was an inescapable song that many adults soured on, while children relished in the idea that they too could be Princess Elsa. When Disney knew that they had a hit, they made sure that Frozen had long-term staying power, and it just became more of an inescapable film, haunting all of the adults that encountered it. Encanto is different. I don't know this for a fact, but I could bet that it's not children who've made Encanto and the song We Don't Talk About Bruno an inescapable hit. While Let It Go and Frozen had messages about family love and empowerment, it's Encanto's relatability with intergenerational trauma and toxic family members that's caught on with so many adults. The annoyance that came with Frozen doesn't seem to be happening with Encanto. And that's because it speaks to people of all ages more than Frozen ever did. Current research shows that over half of the worldwide population has encountered some kind of traumatic event within their lifetime. And that number is likely rising thanks to the coronavirus pandemic. Intergenerational trauma is when one event that's devastated one person gets passed down to the next generation through a variety of acts. And that leaves a majority of us with families full of toxic traits. Growing up, many of us are instilled with a sense of family loyalty, And since our first interactions with other people often come from our parents, grandparents, and siblings, we see their actions as normal and believe that they have our best interest in mind. What we don't account for at a young age, because we don't have the ability to grasp it, is that the actions of our families come with the baggage of their lives. People who have gone through traumatic events without ever healing bring that to their family dynamic, and that can show up in a variety of unhealthy ways. Signs of generational trauma can be seen in the forms of emotions as weakness or overprotective parenting, seeing things as being quote-unquote minor issues, or using guilt as a way to keep family close. In Encanto, we see how Abuela Alma runs her family as the matriarch. She dismisses Mirabel and Bruno for being different, or not being able to contribute to the family in ways that she'd like them to. Luisa, whose gift is strength, feels burnt out and run down, as she's asked to do far too much. Mirabel's oldest sister, Isabella, is being asked to marry a man she doesn't love. Like many of you, I've related my own life to Encanto, its music, and its characters. I'm an only child, as is my mom, and her mother, my grandmother, always used guilt to keep us close. When my grandmother passed away, I did shed tears because I did love her, but she was somebody born into the Great Depression and was a child during World War II. In her younger life, she would become an alcoholic, and something that would later return in the form of diabetes. Then in her 50s, my grandfather, her husband, died in front of both her and I. My grandmother's trauma was then passed down to my mom, who always believed that she was never seen as anything except for being the daughter. And part of being her daughter was having to take care of her at an elderly age because of family loyalty. And my grandmother consistently disapproved of my mom's life and her choice to marry the person that she did, my dad. And she ended up using guilt to keep both my mom and my dad close to her. And she did similar things to me, telling me how I made the wrong choice to move away to a different state, or belittling the joys and desires and passions that I had in my life. All the while believing that the guilt that she was putting on me would keep my loyalty. I'm not saying that my grandmother was a bad person, in the same way that Encanto isn't trying to tell us that Abuela Alma is a bad person. But she never really saw her wrongdoings because she never healed and recovered from the traumatic events within her lifetime. In fact, I would say that every single life experience that brought new trauma to her life only made her that much more unbearable. In a way, seeing that kind of family dynamic on screen and seeing how the Madrigal family opts to confront that trauma and try to heal multiple generations was a way for all of us to cope. For those of us who saw ourselves in various family members of the Madrigal family, we felt our own sense of healing. And as the film has grown in popularity, we're relating to each other rather than feeling isolated in our own experiences of intergenerational trauma. Despite sometimes feeling antisocial, humans are naturally social creatures, and part of our mending process is sharing our own problems to further understand ourselves. It's why people turn to doctors and therapists or close friends to talk about their issues. While on the surface, it's strange to see a song like We Don't Talk About Bruno topping the pop charts because it's a narrative ensemble song that you don't really understand taken out of context. But it's not that crazy that it's reached and touched generations of people who see themselves in the song and have found a way to heal along with it. Like Frozen, I see Encanto having long-term staying power. It's one of the very few films or forms of art that has tried to tackle a subject that many of us are familiar with, and does so, I think, successfully. Regardless of how much Disney opts to do with this new film in terms of sequels or TV shows or theme park expansions, Encanto will always have an audience because it represents something impactful to so many people that didn't have an outlet prior to it. Encanto's legacy won't just be its catchy music and quirky characters. Its legacy will be this moment of clarity and understanding on a societal issue that so many of us deal with but never talk about publicly. And a sigh of relief and comfort that comes with that clarity, knowing that we all aren't alone with this issue. Hopefully this new understanding and moment in time helps heal generations of people, creating a closer bond between you and I as imperfect humans just trying to help each other. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my other video about Encanto and its real-world history. I dive deep into the behind the scenes and making of the film. And if you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching, my friends. And as always, keep moving forward.